We're going to be live to Madrid shortly, but now we need to talk about Spurs. How are they feeling ahead of a huge week for their side? We'll speak to one now. Mitchell Fretton joins. Good morning, Mitchell. And by the way, everyone at home, get your voice notes in, please. Everybody's having their say on Spurs. Right, Mitchell, a few days on from that Crystal Palace defeat, how are you feeling now?
Morning, Tim. I feel, do you know what? It's a new week, and I'm trying to approach every new week with a bit more of a positive mental attitude, because I think I may just explode if I don't. So we've got two more big games this week. We have to draw a line under the Crystal Palace game, as painful as it was, and we've got two more opportunities to turn things around ultimately. And what better opportunity to do that than in a Champions League last 16 game? For as poor as we've been, that is still an opportunity, and hopefully, as weird as it sounds, one that the players might even be slightly more up for, considering the difference in circumstances.
OK, but this time next week, if you've been beaten in Madrid and beaten at Anfield, what are you going to be saying?
It will be tough, but the issue is both games on paper are incredibly difficult and would be incredibly difficult even if we were sitting, on the cusp of the European places. Atletico Madrid are a very, very good side, have beaten Barcelona in the Copa del Rey recently, and then Liverpool, particularly at Anfield, we've always struggled there, and I think we always will struggle there. So it's kind of really hard to gauge an idea as to how we're going to feel towards Tudor and that team after these two games. But like I say, every game's a cup final at the moment, and we have to go game by game and try and win.
But how do you feel about him now? How do you feel about him now? Do you think he should still be in the job?
I'm a bit underwhelmed, to be honest with you, just because of the circumstances that he was brought in for, in terms of becoming an impact manager. And then you come in and you lose all three of your first games, arguably maybe two of them being winnable in the Fulham and Palace games. It's not very encouraging. So it's just difficult, isn't it? How can you judge a manager on three games? But then when you're in the position that Spurs are in, you kind of have to judge him on a game-by-game basis, because that's the whole point of him being there instead of Thomas Frank now.
What's your biggest worry, Mitchell? My biggest worry, I'll tell you what mine is. He keeps chopping from five at the back to three at the way. Can't make his mind up whether you're going to go four. You've got to stick to it. Whatever he's going to do, he's going to have to stick to it. And I know there's the injuries, but let's face it, again, you can't argue with the injuries against Fulham and against Palace. Yeah. Yes, you can against Arsenal, but I don't think the fight was there against Arsenal, and nor was the game plan wasn't there either. So what's your biggest worry about this man?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head, Tim. It's the tactics and it's the way we're playing. The setup I've not really quite understood in terms of the back five or the back three, playing players out of position, playing Archie Gray as a wing back and shifting Pedro Porro into one of the centre-back roles. A lot of that doesn't make sense to me. Playing Conor Gallagher almost as a right winger. Things like that I think it's pretty clear, without having to be, a top-level manager, that's not going to be very effective, and it hasn't been so far. So the biggest thing for me is he needs to play to whatever strengths that we have left away from the injury side of things and go from there. We sat off of Palace on Thursday, and we needed to be aggressive. We need to be on the front foot at home, even if we are in such a poor run of form and have such low confidence. I don't like the fact that we are sitting off every game still. It kind of goes against the whole idea of a new manager bounce, if you will, and trying to build confidence.
Okay. I think Michael Carrick is a good blueprint. No, at different ends of the table, we know that. Less pressure. Michael's like, are you going to get us to the Champions League? Are you going to drop into the Europa League as a downside? This is completely different, but play their players in the correct position. Have a formation which is simple and everyone understands. That, in my opinion, is common sense. I think that is the first thing he needs to do. Talk to the individuals, get a gauge of how much they're up for it, how not, talk about life in general, then the football inside, and then ask them individuals, where do you prefer to play? And you have your own ideas as a manager, but let them play in the positions what they like, and then you can make them accountable. Because if you're putting Conor Gallagher on the right side, he's got every right. I'm sticking up for him. Now, I didn't think it was a great sign in the first place. I thought we had players very, very similar to him. But when he's sticking him on the right wing, give the boy a chance. But not only Conor, everyone. Stick them in their correct positions and make it simple for them to understand.
It's not working at the moment. Mitchell, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Sorry, Mitch.
Well, let's head to the Spanish capital now, where Michael Bridge is watching Atletico Madrid train ahead of that match against Spurs tomorrow. Right, Michael, I imagine the mood there is a bit better than at the Spurs training ground right now.
Well, buenos dias, Tom and Tim. See, I got the lingo already. I've only been here a few hours.
We'll be in.
Look, yeah, I mean, Atletico Madrid, it's quite a difference, isn't it, with between Tottenham Hotspur, Atletico Madrid, third in La Liga, in the Copa del Rey final, things going ever so well under with Diego Simeone in charge. 15 years he's been here. Everything just feels so different between the two football clubs. I'll just step out of the way just for a few minutes. You can see that Atletico training. They beat Real Sociedad 3-2 on Saturday. They're third in La Liga, looking good for another season next year in the Champions League, as I mentioned, in their domestic cup final as well. And they are training, and it looks like they've got a lot more players available than Tottenham Hotspur have ahead of tomorrow night's game. And then we can talk about how important this game is for Spurs. I mean, it's unbelievable. I said it Friday in the live broadcast that Tottenham could do without this match. A Champions League last 16, doing without it. But that's where Spurs are at the moment. And as I say, it's quite different for Atletico Madrid. They've had a manager here for 15 years, which is an extremely long time for any league or any country. It just shows that things are settled here, things are going well here, the recruitment's gone well here. And you mentioned recruitment. There's one player I've seen already, Ademola Lookman, who has been linked with Spurs for quite a few transfer windows, and he's a left-sided forward. He seemed perfect for Spurs. Spurs and other English clubs didn't sort of take their option just to sign him. Obviously, he had a spell at Everton, and he has been absolutely brilliant with his first few weeks here in La Liga for Atletico Madrid. And Antoine Griezmann is here as well training. He's been linked with a potential move to the MLS, but Simeone has said, no, I don't really want him to be leaving me during the season. They've got Alexander Sorloth as well. Palace fans will remember him. He had a short spell at Crystal Palace. 11 goals in 17 appearances in all competitions this year so far. So for me, looking at this, it's going to be a very, very difficult night for Tottenham Hotspur. But it's been a very, very difficult season for Spurs. And as I say, I think the majority of Spurs fans, and Spurs fans are coming flying out now, and as Tim will tell you, there'll be 5,000-6,000 Spurs fans, there'll be thousands without tickets, and a lot of them will be flying now or in the square now thinking, is this the last time they're going to see their team in a European competition for quite some time?
Yeah, I think that one for you there, Tim. I mean, how long can you see it until Tottenham are back in Europe again?
Like Bridgie said, it's not a priority. I don't think they should discard this game, not by any means. The way I'd be looking at it is if we do beat Atletico here today, we beat Liverpool at Anfield, and then we go through into the quarter-final by beating them at home, then no one would have us down to be relegated out of the Premier League. You've got to look on the positive side. At the moment, from the outside looking in, you would say Tottenham are possibly even money favourites to get relegated out of the Premier League. If they was to win these next two games this week, no one, not anyone, would fancy Tottenham to get relegated because the confidence what would breed through that club. That is the way they need to be addressing this, not looking on the negative side. And I see too many. It's natural to feel on the negative side at the moment, Bridgie, because Tottenham fans are on a slump. But they need to keep their chins up. They need to be positive, and then hopefully that can breed to the players, and you get a reaction from them.
Yeah. Okay, Michael. Thank you. Back with you later on.